Thank you again for joining us. We do really, really appreciate it. We're here in Miami, the state of Florida, huge Venezuelan population. There have been celebrations here. People are very happy. Maduro is out of power. I'm curious, though, you've talked to people inside Venezuela. How are they feeling there?
Well, it's very hard to explain how the Venezuelan people, not only around the world, as you have said, but in Venezuela, feel at this moment. Remember, it's been 27 years of pain, separation, violence, devastations, families separated. And finally, we are seeing that freedom is close and the possibility to bring our children back home to a free and prosperous nation that we will build back all together. So people are excited, but conscious that we're not there yet. It's a process that a big step has been taken, but there are much more things to do in the days to come.
When it comes to those things to do, freedom is close, but not yet here. Are you the person to lead Venezuela into that next chapter of freedom? Should you be the next leader of Venezuela?
Well, the people of Venezuela have already chosen. And if there's something I feel proud about, is how Venezuelans have understand that this is a personal, individual decision. It's not a matter only of leadership. It's a matter of a whole society committed to do what it takes to take responsibility for our own future. So we got a mandate, very strong, very clear, through the primary process in October 2023, but we won an election in 2024 by landslide. So there is a mandate there.
So in other words, the answer is yes, is what I'm hearing. You won that primary. You were then banned from running. I asked you, should you be the next leader of Venezuela? You say you already have won what's necessary to become it. So the answer is yes?
Absolutely yes. And we have a president-elect who is Edmundo González Urrutia, and we are ready and willing to serve our people as we have been mandated.
The Trump administration, and Donald Trump in particular, surprised, even shocked some people by saying he does not support you as the next leader of Venezuela or your party. He said for you, you're nice, but you lack respect in the country and that it would be tough for you to lead. Have you spoken to him since Maduro's capture? And what would you say to him? What do you want him to know?
No, I have not spoken to him this year, and I have insisted in a clear message on behalf of the Venezuelan people. We are very, very grateful. A few weeks ago, people would have said it was impossible to reach this point. And President Trump's leadership and courage has brought Nicolás Maduro to face justice. And this is huge. This is a major step towards restoring prosperity and rule of law and democracy in Venezuela. So this is huge. We are not there yet. We realize we have huge challenges, and we are willing to work together, not only with the United States, but with many other countries and leaders around the world that understand how critical the stability in Venezuela and democracy in Venezuela is for the Western Hemisphere.
Ms. Machado, if I could just follow up once. We already mentioned that you won that primary, record support. Your party, after you were banned from running, won the election legitimately, and yet Donald Trump says it would be tough for you to lead. Help me understand why he would say that.
Well, certainly Venezuela, as you know, has been taken over by a criminal narco-terrorist system. The enemies of the United States, forces from Iran, Russia, Cuba, terrorist organizations such as Hezbollah and Hamas are freely operating in Venezuela. The Colombian guerrilla, drug cartels, and certainly there is fear that these groups will resist a peaceful transition. Nonetheless, I have insisted, and I maintain my trust, that a wide majority of the military and police in Venezuela also supports an orderly transition to democracy. So I believe, even though there are fears, and certainly we do not underscore the difficulties and challenges we face, I believe we have a united country and we have the plans and the team to move ahead in an orderly transition.
Just one more question on this, and then I do promise to move on because there is a lot to cover. There is some reporting here in the United States suggesting that the reason Donald Trump has not supported you as the next leader of Venezuela is because he is upset, he is hurt that you accepted the Nobel Peace Prize, a prize that he wants for himself. I know you dedicated it to him, but what's your response to that?
Oh, certainly I will not interpret or elaborate on rumors. I know that President Trump knows very well what he has done, not only for peace and order and freedom in Venezuela, many other places around the world. And as I said, since the day one, I believe he does deserve this prize. And I know the Venezuelan people are extremely grateful to him and are looking forward to prove that and to show that and be part of a strong ally in bringing peace, security, and prosperity to the region. And we're going to turn Venezuela the strongest ally of the United States in Latin America.
So then on the subject of bringing democracy and what Donald Trump and the Trump administration have done, Maduro is gone. So the dictator has been deposed. But all of the dictator's lieutenants and deputies are still there. The dictatorship is still there, which raises the question, do you think Donald Trump and the U.S. have done enough as of today to bring about the freedom and democracy you're talking about?
Well, they certainly have done much more than anybody thought was possible. And as I said, January 3rd will go down in history as the day justice defeated tyranny. What people said it was impossible to achieve in a flawless operation. So this is huge. But we have to go step by step, day after day. And that's, the kind of serenity and strength that we have to have in such delicate and complex moments. Any transition to democracy starts with freedom and respect for human rights. As we speak, Tony, there are almost 1,000 political prisoners in Venezuelan jails. They are being tortured. Many are disappeared. Like, Rory Brander, he's a journalist that has 1 year separated from his family, and many others just for speaking out, just for defending the votes, just for telling the truth about the reality of hospitals or schools in Venezuela. So this is the next step that should be taken.
Yeah.
All political prisoners should be freed and repression should be stopped immediately.
Ms. Machado, on that point, the people who put those individuals in prison, many of them are still in power. In fact, all of them, with the exception of Maduro. And the deputy of Maduro, a vice president of his, Delcy Rodriguez, is now the interim president. She is in charge. Some people in the U.S. say she's a moderate, that she's going to cooperate with the U.S. What do you think? Do you think she's the right person to lead Venezuela right now?
Everybody in Venezuela and abroad knows perfectly who she is and the role she has played. She was sanctioned by the United States government because of the corruption and all the involvement she has in criminal activities. Beyond that, she has been the architect, one of the main architects and director of the torture centers in Venezuela, of repression towards our innocent people, and the main link, the main actor that has relations with Russia, with Iran, and other countries that have, obscure and criminal activities in Venezuela. So certainly she's nothing but like a moderate. She's perhaps even on worse left that Maduro, that's possible. And certainly she's repudiated by the major part of Venezuelan population and will bring no confidence to international actors, investors, because, she has a very clear track record. I think it's evident the United States has instructed her to take certain actions regarding further dismantling of the criminal structure as a path forward towards a complete transition to democracy in Venezuela.
It sounds like you're saying she's done a lot of bad in the past, but now she is a puppet of the United States.
Well, I will not speculate once again. I think she is in a very critical position because nobody trusts her. Nobody, not even the own Chavista system and the regime. And they do even less now than they did last week. Nonetheless, I do trust the Venezuelan people, Tony. It has been such a long and difficult journey, and it has cost so many lives, so many sacrifices. We will work and we will demand and we will do what it takes to bring freedom and justice and democracy to our country.
Ms. Machado, I'm confident that the American people all around the world are rooting for the Venezuelan people, absolutely. And that's why they're trying to understand this situation. Given all you just said about Delcy Rodriguez, why do you think President Trump has picked her to stay in office?
I cannot answer that question. I will only say that we have to see what's happening in the last 48 hours in Venezuela. Just yesterday, an executive order signed by Maduro the day he was captured was published, and it declares a state of external commotion. Yet among the things it mandates is that any individual that supports the actions taken by President Trump should be persecuted and detained. Just yesterday, 14 journalists were detained by the regime. So you cannot think these are good signals regarding compliance with agreements regarding, ensuring a transition, but quite the opposite. So this is a very unstable situation. But as I say, I trust the Venezuelan people, and I also trust most of our military and police also want desperately to have a country where justice prevails.
Ms. Machado, we led our show yesterday with that state of emergency in Venezuela, the effort to round up anybody who had collaborated with the U.S. On Maduro's removal. What's your message to Donald Trump about the events of the last 2 days?
Well, once again, I want to thank him and his administration for his vision and courage. As I said, many said it was impossible to achieve what has been done so far. I would say, across the Venezuelan people, we've come a long way, hand in hand. What the Venezuelan people did last year when we defeated by a landslide in a presidential election Maduro under, absolutely extreme unfair conditions. So imagine if there had been free and fair elections. We would have won by over 90% of the votes. We'll see what is going to happen in the next elections that come in Venezuela. Let's trust the people. Let's move ahead. Venezuela will be not only a security ally to the United States, but a country of prosperity and a country that will receive back millions that have fled. Donnie, there in Florida, you are surrounded by good, hardworking, family-loving, faithful Venezuelans. A third of a population that have been forced to leave, but they want to come home. They want to come back and work really hard to build a country that will be the envy of the world.
I grew up here in South Florida. I went to school with the children of Venezuelan refugees, so I know it well. I know the community very well. Here in America, we're trying to figure out what this is all about. The lack of support for you from the Trump administration and also the motivations of President Trump here. Some people say the U.S. motivation is freedom and democracy for the Venezuelan people. Others say it's about oil or about rare earth minerals or other resources or something else entirely. What do you think is motivating your counterparts on the American side?
Well, first of all, Tony, this is not about me. This is about a nation. This is about millions, 30 millions of Venezuelans and millions in the United States and in our whole hemisphere. What's happening in Venezuela has already had an impact, has made the United States a safer country, and will make the whole hemisphere a more prosperous and safe and free region. So it is about a nation, not about a person. And I believe that all those reasons that you mentioned are valid, are legitimate, and are true. It is about security. It is about law and justice. It is about energy security. And it is certainly about human rights, dignity, and democracy. A free Venezuela will be, as I say, the greatest ally of all democracies in the Western Hemisphere. And we are ready to do what it takes. So this is a huge opportunity that happens once in a lifetime. And it's a huge legacy for the Americas, because I am convinced that once Venezuela is turned into a democratic nation once again, we will see also Cuba and Nicaragua follow the same path.
It is a very historic moment. I think it will define the year. It could define the decade, even the century. It's a very big deal indeed. Just two more questions. I'm very cognizant of your time. One of the motivations that President Trump brought up was oil, saying that U.S. oil companies would go into Venezuela, rebuild, and take back some of the money and the resources stolen by Chavez and then Maduro. Do you support U.S. oil companies coming back to Venezuela to get back what was taken?
I absolutely support American companies, not only in oil, in minerals, in infrastructure, in technology, in financial services, in health, in education, in tourism, coming into Venezuela. This is a win-win relationship. But in order to have companies, big and small, investing long-term investments that are huge, you need to have rule of law. You need to have stable rules. You need to have reasonable regulation. You have to have protection for foreign investment. You have to have security that the whole country approves and supports this process. So legitimacy is on our side. The popular support is also on our side, on the side of this movement. So I have absolutely no doubt that that will be the result. And I have been talking with CEOs and executives from, companies, big and small, showing them all that we are planning to do. And they're absolutely excited because there's a $1.7 trillion opportunity for investment in Venezuela in several sectors. And that's something that will never happen in a socialist, corrupt, narco-terrorist regime. That requires democracy, rule of law, transparency, and that's precisely what we will bring.
And finally, Ms. Machado, the government, Maduro's regime, has said to its supporters, be ready for armed resistance if necessary. You've said to your supporters, be prepared to take action. Some people hear these kind of phrases, they look at the division in the streets of Venezuela, and they're concerned about violence. Take me into the future. What's coming? Are you worried there could be clashes?
Look, the only thing the regime has left is fear, terror, and repression. And that's why you see in the streets armed gangs. They're not even the military. Not now. And you are seeing people all around the world going out and celebrating, but inside of Venezuela, be very careful. Because if they go out to the street right now, They will be harmed, they could be detained or disappeared. So we have to be very responsible. But believe me, Tony, Venezuela is not a divided society. I I dare to say there's no other society in this hemisphere as cohesive and united as Venezuelan society. More than 90% of our population wants the same. We want to live with respect, with dignity, with justice and opportunities. So this is about love. Love for families, love for a country, and love for freedom. And this is very powerful. So believe me, the Venezuelan people are very grateful. We are very excited with what's going, very hopeful with what's going on. And I will be able to host you, many friends you have from Venezuela, in a free country, a beautiful country with wonderful people.
I think the question, Ms. Machado, is will you be able to host me 1 year from now in the presidential compound of Venezuela with you at the helm?
Well, I am sure I will be able to host you in a free Venezuela, and I will be serving my country certainly where the people want me to do so. And I'm looking forward, Tony, to go back to Venezuela as soon as possible and share this unique moment in history with millions of my fellow citizens that have done such historic endeavor. And I'm very, very proud to be part of this generation.
Thank you, Ms. Machado. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony.